Hey, it's Spence from WP Very, very excited to bring you a little daily update. I'm going to continue to do this. In fact, it's going to start being automated by my assistant, Fernando. Basically, today I succeeded in creating what's called a DXT, which is a desktop extension. I think the formal word is for Claude Desktop. And this means that I'm able to give you control from your desktop in a simple manner over the full cycle of what you would probably need to do with the MinuteLaunch system. That is to say, researching and creating a product, sales page, marketing campaigns, and more. And what's neat about this is that you can still do these inside of your own site using the tools that I built into WordPress, but now I've made it possible that you can have the agentic control of something like Claude Desktop. And the reason that's significant are things like this. You'll notice at the bottom of the screen here, I've got these connectors, and there's also extensions. Extensions are things people build. Connectors are more mainstream things. The connectors I've got are things like my file system, Canva for creating thumbnails or images, calendar, Gmail, Google Drive, internet search, extended thinking if I wanted to put that on. And all of these, in addition to the other tools, allow Claude Desktop to act pretty much like the super simple version of Cursor. Now, there are other differences between them, but what this means is, like in this example, let's do a test. I need you to do three things. One, create a new product based upon researching Amazon car phone mounts using suction cup mounts, because I just put one of these in my car. It's just amazing. Research which is the best product, which is the one that we should use. Even get an image from Amazon if you can, because we have those kinds of capabilities. Make the product priced at whatever Amazon says it is. We're going to do a kind of emulation. Also grab the content of the product. Number two, make a sales page, much like the Amazon content. And number three, besides making the sales page with the link that puts it directly in the WooCommerce checkout, go ahead and make the Fluent CRM email campaign to notify folks about this new product and sale. And because I built this MCP, we can directly use tools inside of WordPress without having to go through all the fuss of either manually using an API or setting up separate stuff. You just literally need this plugin inside the MinuteLaunch system, and the rest is sort of magic. So let's see what we got. You can see that it's doing research, which is cool. It went and got some things. Then it got some more results about the car mounts. You know, this is not really unusual stuff for most people. But then it went ahead and created a product. This is the unusual part. It went and got the product so that it knows what to use for the pages. It went to see if it already had a page. Then it updated the page that it had made with this new information. And here it's actually generating the content, putting it in the appropriate. What I built with this design tool, Spence's style, is I built a possibility that some automated MCP tool can create, regardless of what theme you have, the environment, like a whiteboard, to put the kind of content that it can most readily create, edit, and improve. In other words, you're not going to be looking at this, but if you had to, you would see what it did. It just bypasses, even if you got a theme and a page builder, all that other nonsense. Not too dissimilar from what I did in the launch flows days. Finally, it created a campaign, inventing it. I'm really excited to see what this is. We need to let it finish because this was a big project. And so Claude has what we call a token limit. As it's using up your context, it sort of can run out of gas. So that is a small danger. Even though I am on the max plan of Anthropic, you might have to prompt it to continue, unlike Cursor, which just keeps rolling all day long automatically. And number two is you might actually, I would hope not, run into a place where it ran out of gas before you got to your destination. Now, the reason that Claude Desktop is so fascinating to me is that it's a much, much, much simpler tool. There is no setup required whatsoever. Cursor does require setup, but Cursor is way more advanced, way more capable, and it has lots of tool sets that you just can't do here. The thing that I like the best about both of them is that for a layperson, you can pretty much avoid having to go out and learn how to use a bash commands or terminal or shell or any of those geeky tools, which even I don't like to use. You can pretty much stay in the WYSIWYG territory. Also, as I've shown you before, this is a universal MCP. So even though I made this MCP into a desktop extension for Claude, it still exists for the layperson or a cursor user as a regular MCP. So you can use it with any tool you want. So I haven't seen this. This is literally live. I'm going to see. So number one, it made the product, the Von Maas 2025 car mount. It made a sales page. It has the direct to checkout link. That's fantastic. By the way, it's using some of the new attributes of the new shareable URL from WooCommerce. So I can see here products 200 and quantity 1. Fluent CRM HTML5 email campaign. I'm going to ask it for the sales page. What is the URL of the sales page, please? Oh, never mind. I see it right there. It's right there. Okay. Are we ready? I am going to bring a browser in. Bringing in a browser. I'm bringing a browser that hopefully is not polluted with too much stuff for you to see. Okay. I like what it did. I see what it did wrong immediately. It put the stuff in the wrong location, which I'll have to train it to do. This is the first try. So see where it put it into here. I don't know what all this is. This doesn't need to be here. This looks like it actually got it correct, the HTML content. Let's see if it did the CSS. It did put the CSS in the appropriate thing. So let's see also, see where it says Cadence Whiteboard? We need to do that. It needs to know to do that. So I'll improve that a little bit. Let's see if that tweaks it. For first try ever, not too bad. I have to ask it because it's trying to, and by the way, see where it's got the stuff at the top? You don't have to worry about that because that's just the default garbage from, we're doing the default garbage from the Cadence theme underneath. So we wouldn't normally show a header on this page either. Okay. I have to ask it what's going on. I think it's trying to do a carousel, which is a pretty bold move. Let's see if it can fix this just slightly. I love how adventurous you were with the sales page. It looks like you were trying to do a carousel or something on the left side. That's not working. I think you need to use inline JavaScript in the HTML to make that work, or some combination of inline JavaScript and CSS. Can you fix that? Otherwise, simplify that to a single image. Now, I'm not really intending to say that this first try of it making this sales page design is the best. What's important is that it followed my instructions to the letter. Like, it didn't just make some goofy with emojis kind of content. It actually went out and really tried, like a web designer VA would do, to go make something cool. And furthermore, because it has the ability to see and edit stuff, I could just tell it what I want it to do. This is a big difference, and I'm trying to impress upon as many people as I can how different this is. The skill set that you will need as a human being in the future going forward is not going to be dragging the mouse around or knowing where all the little things are inside of the page builders. It's going to be visually being able to understand what's going on and to be able to verbalize or type in a language or in a pattern that the LLM, the agentic LLM coding partner or design partner can understand. It's going to be like talking to a teenager. So if I don't know what I want, if I can't express it in the right words, it's going to be more challenging to me than if I could. Now, it says that it's fixed this, which is awesome. So let's go back and see if it actually did fix it. I think I have this window open. Okay, let's see if I just refresh if it fixes it. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Does not appear that that worked, but that could be just I misunderstand what it's doing. The sales page. Are you sure you've updated? Maybe I need to clear the cache. It's possible that my browser cache is just holding it too. So I always like to ask, because sometimes it just sort of says it's doing it, but it really didn't actually do it. And I'm going to scoot this over so we can kind of see the two together. Let's try to push it again. In the meantime, let's see what happens when I click the Buy Now. Okay, the Buy Now button doesn't seem to work either, which is interesting because if I inspect it, it has a product with a link that's proper, but I think that syntax is off because either that or the product itself isn't fully vested. Let's see if it's published. So let's go to the shop and see if there's a product there. So maybe the product doesn't exist. Let's take a look on the back end. We'll go to products. And there is this Van Mas Pro. It's ID 196. I think it's got the syntax wrong. I think your call to action button for buy the product might be wrong as well, because I don't think you've got the right product number, which I think is 196, or you're using the wrong syntax, because we should have the syntax of probably just question mark add dash to dash cart equals, and then the ID. Maybe you were intending to use the new share URL, but check your syntax. Also, I want you to get a better image in the product thumbnail. Use the same images that you're going to be using here. If you don't have the image from Amazon, then use the SERP API to get some respectable images that represent it. But ideally, we want the actual product image that you chose. Okay, so what I did is I gave it some more information about what I am sort of looking for and expecting. And once I get this dialed in, it'll be much easier for me to have a set of instructions, kind of like this is the go get the carton of milk instructions. It is pretty awesome that it put it in the database, even with the wrong, let's say, thumbnail and so forth. And while we're waiting for it to rebake the bread, let's go see if it made a campaign. I am not disappointed by this at all, but it does not seem that it made the campaign. Let's see if it made a template or a sequence. So it seems to have failed on this, but this I've not tested whatsoever. So I'm going to give it some more instructions, such as, oops. It also appears that you did not create a Fluent CRM campaign of any kind. So I'd like to know if that was on purpose, or you were intending to make it, or you just failed. So what it's doing is it fixed the product ID to make it the traditional add to cart equals, which is the format it probably needs. It's looking for actual product images, which is super cool. So it's going to Amazon, and it's updating supposedly with the product ID of 196, which is right, instead of product ID 200. Let's see if it also pulls off this last magic trick, which I'm going to let it finish instead of interrupting it, because it is making the thumbnails, but I want it to also make the CRM. So I'll wait till it's done. Okay, good. And now I'm going to send that last instruction, and we'll see if it acknowledges that it made a mistake or it wasn't done with it. Let's see. You're absolutely right. Okay, but right. Okay, so it's going to try again. While it's doing that, I am going to jump back over here and let's take a look at our sales page. I'm just backing up the truck. There we go. Nicely done. I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed. This would be like, quite literally, I trained a 13-year-old how to go to the store, and it even went to the trouble of making, the carousel. So I just want you to contemplate this. Like, this isn't obviously the final thing, but just contemplate how much time or effort would have gone in for a human being to do this. Plus, this now works. Even though the checkout page isn't set up, that just put that into the cart, and there it is. That's pretty damn impressive. So it has, even has a multi-tab, like an Amazon product. really amazing. Now, I don't even know, this might really be the content that it took from Amazon, because I didn't say to use fake data. So I would have to check it against it. But like, wow. Let's see if it finishes the job and does the campaign. And then finally, I'll also tell it to improve the thumbnail image. See, it's asking me whether it can use the tool. And you can say only once or decline, but I'm going to say allow always, because this isn't running without me keeping an eye on it. Now, there is a conversation in the internet right now about if you leave your LLM agents going at night, they can quite literally get hacked and reset your passwords, give it to somebody else. There's a lot of bad things I suppose could happen, but if you're not running Claude Desktop or anything on the site in particular that's dangerous, I don't really care. This is just a demo website. Theoretically, the Gmail and the other stuff might be interesting to get hacked, but it pretty much has not shown any problems to me thus far. Okay, so it created this campaign. There's an issue with the integration. Okay, so it's not happy. I need to do a little more work. It looks like the Get Campaigns tool says integration in progress. So I have to finish working on that. So I'm going to say, are you able to either give me a draft in Canvas of that HTML5 or something in a page to copy and paste? And also, can you improve the product thumbnail to match up what you used inside of the sales page? Because right now I don't like that image. Okay, so let's see if it fixes those things. In the meantime, before we end this video, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the Fluent campaign on the back end and see if it actually created a draft or anything. It sounds like my tool needs a little tweak, which is totally understandable. Okay, so it didn't do anything, which, no big deal. Let's see if this works. It will, if you ask for a draft in Canvas, the thing on the side here is called the canvas, which is exactly the same when I do it in HTML5 as what we can post into Fluent CRM as a draft email. And in fact, I encourage everybody to use that as the method because it's universal. The Gutenberg block builder is fine, but we do not need all the aggravation of that when we're using a tool to make the copy. And plus HTML5 being universal means that you can have one set of layout and instructions and everything else that work everywhere, which is fantastic. So whether I post it in the site or I use it elsewhere, it's just a universal way of doing things. I also have the capacity here, which is amazing. I could have Canva design something gorgeous as the thumbnail and use that instead. That's an option as well. Okay, you notice it made Canva documents. So I'm not sure what these are going to do, but let's take a look. Interesting. These are more decorative than I would have wanted. I wanted just a copy. This, I think the LLM is thinking Spence wants visual. Okay, not bad. I'm going to tell it that I want copy, not like, I don't want to send a graphic. Nobody really wants to see a graphic, although these aren't bad. Let me tell it what I mean. What I mean is I want you to sell this via a campaign email that's mostly words with obviously a few choice images, but I want you to sell it on a short and sweet story, something that in a modern email campaign would be effective. So not too wordy. Oh, and here it's actually doing it. So before I get all up in its shorts about it, let's see what it opened, what it gave me. Yeah, that's kind of the same thing. This is just the HTML version. So let's stop it. And you hit this button over here to interrupt it. It's sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. But the point I'm saying is if you really feel like it's gone off the ranch, just try to stop it. The difference between this and cursor, which I like in cursor, is that cursor lets you interrupt it all you want. This, if you interrupt it, like I just lost what I was doing for some reason. I love the images you gave me, but what I meant is I would like you to draft a short and sweet, human-friendly, very persuasive, word-based email that I can use, not just an image kind of thing. And notice that my last prompt was very non-professional. That was like talking to a friend at a, social setting. if you do those kinds of prompts, you'll get varying results. If you're very specific, you'll get very specific. But now that I told it what I want, it's going to give me a draft here. Right, kind of cool, right? So, okay, while that's awesome, that's a little too salesy. Make it more like I'm a trusted friend and make it shorter and sweeter, but also give it to me in HTML5 version. Okay. So this isn't bad, but this is just Spence with a lot of hair oil. I would rather it be something more trustworthy. Plus, if it gives it to me in HTML5, it can be a little stylish, but not a graphic per se, which is also, I think, very useful. When it gives it to you on this canvas, you can also switch it from text mode into like preview mode, right? So that's awesome. Can you show me the preview mode in Canvas? I can't see that. There's like an eyeball that's supposed to show up. It'll turn on the Canvas controls. Huh? No. Preview mode in Canvas, not Canva. It actually was taking what I was doing and it's going to Canva to make it into something. I just wanted the canvas. There we go. Okay. So when it does this, it'll give me a switch that will allow me to see the HTML if I want to copy it, but it'll also show an eyeball here. There we go. Okay. So this is cool. This is kind of like what it might look like if I pasted it into Fluent CRM, which is awesome, right? So all you would do here is you could literally take the whole thing. You don't have to futz around with it, which is awesome. And when I fix this tool, this will do it automatically. And then I would go back over here and in Fluent CRM, if I went to the dashboard, I would just do that campaign myself, right? So if I make a new campaign, no big deal. Sample iPhone. I'll just paste it in with the HTML template, raw. Now, when you do that, just click the eyeball. Ta-da. Hey, first name. Now, what you do here is you replace that with the placeholder contact. I think they call them template tags, but hey, first name like that, and then paste it in. And we are essentially done. So with the exception of one small tweak of my tool, holy cow, pretty amazing, pretty amazing. And you'd switch out your name for Spence. And this is a link to the thing. So imagine you can get all of the data on your customers because we have that capability. You have all the data on your products. We can build the products, improve the products, get the information, design the products, and we can do all of that from a prompt. And then here's the difference between the Claude Desktop. Let's say Claude Desktop does have a tool called Projects. And so you can keep things in folders and projects and so forth. Cursor has extended memory, which I like better because, as I mentioned, Anthropic has these things sort of throttled down where it works until it runs out of juice and then you have to go to another chat. Whereas in Cursor, you can have continuity endlessly. But man, oh man, for the simplicity of being able to run this using the desktop extension that's pre-built and with the new Spence style, really fabulous. Let me show you on the back end too, the Spence style. The tool is mind-numbingly simple. It's extended into the things that like I need for a publishing tool. So if I just go here, first of all, I built a very, very simple palette of colors and elements so that even though we're not using anything from the underlying theme, you could, but this allows us to designate the elements that we want to use in a very generic universal way using HTML5. And we also can set up the various defaults for the MCP, even using custom CSS. There's a quick start guide, but what essentially we're doing is we connect it to, again, using this very simple MCP, we have a key generator that generates either these individual keys, these will all go away for Fernando, or you can generate an instant configuration file or desktop extension file. That is to say, you could create something that's ready to copy paste into Cursor or your own MCP compatible agent, or you can create a desktop extension specifically for Claude Desktop. And we've even included SERP API. So inside the MinuteLaunch system, you've got the API keys, everything ready to go. You don't have to buy anything. You just start using it. You can always put your own stuff in there. And it's a very robust API right now. So it's got product, it's got page, post, product, and campaign creation, editing, and more. Plus it connects through the other tools to things like the web browser for research or scraping. It connects to the file system. It connects to your email. All of those things that Claude Desktop or Cursor bring. I'm really excited because this complements the tools that we've got inside the MinuteLaunch system, but really way more powerful, because I think the WordPress-based system is awesome for somebody who has a team of people and they're all universally working on a project. This is for you personally to use for your business as the commander-in-chief, if you will. And I think that's essentially what we're trying to do here, is make it a universal set of tools that you can use at your leisure the best way possible. Hope you've enjoyed this, and you'll come join me over at the MinuteLaunch system. To get early adopter on all of this stuff, just go to wplaunchify.com, shop, and then you're going to click right now. I have the special arrangement for $250. If you join the MinuteLaunch AI annual, you will join our new club, which is a year. This is a year. You get a hosted, fully set up MinuteLaunch AI. Not necessarily every single tool that I'm building, but we have a club where you'll be able to vote or submit and vote on anybody's ideas. And what I hope to keep showing you are these videos that will soon be fully automatically generated by the very same tools. I'll see you in the next video.